really appreciate everyone being here as usual. It's really fun. I'm sure we'll have some more people maybe come trickle in the next few minutes. But again, sorry for rescheduling. We had an event yesterday that we thought we were going to be done at 3 p.m. and we were done at 7 p.m. So it kind of ruined the stage planning, but it was a really nice event. We got to present Wingbits. There was about 300 people in the audience, bunch of investors and different angels and other entrepreneurs, and also the Swedish finance minister was there. So they had like a panel discussion, and straight after that we got to present. So it was a really cool crowd to speak in front of, and we were the first ones up to present the case. And I have to say, I mean, when you look at the other companies that presented, I mean, the amount of growth that we're having and what we've been able to accomplish so far was like, everyone was super impressed. And it's really thanks to all you guys for being here. I mean, we would obviously not be able to do anything without all you in the community. So big shout out to everyone. I mean, it was really cool to see the look on their faces when we showed, you know, the community growth and how many antennas we have across the globe and all the countries and stuff like that. It was really nice. So thank you so much. My mic's still working? Or did I speak to no one for a few seconds here?
No, it's all good.
Yeah, but all you guys have any questions, feel free to start typing in the chat, and we'll take them.
Any questions related to Robin sounding like a robot is not going to be answered.
Yeah. So right now, Michel Rack is asking how many antennas in total. It's just over 1,200. Matti, you say, do you know if this event will have concrete results? Can you...
Yesterday's event.
Yesterday. Oh, so no, we don't know if it'd be concrete results, to be honest. It was more, so Antler hosted an event. That was our first investor, and they had a year anniversary event where they, you know, out of, I don't know how many, I think 200 investments they've made, they picked the top 6, and we were number 1, which is super exciting. So we were just there essentially pitching our case to help them out. And so we didn't come in with any specific goal in mind more than that to, you know, what we're doing.
It's like an alumnus coming back to a school and giving a speech and everything, and like, look, this company or this school created me.
Yeah, but you know, I can't announce yet, but we will have some cool stuff being announced here within hopefully next week. So I'm gonna leave you hanging on that one because I really can't reveal it until it's done.
But I'll let you in on the secret. It is actually, Robin has made a tool playlist on Spotify, and he's going to share it.
Yeah. I don't know if everyone here was the last one, but yeah, Tool is one of my favorite bands, I'd say. If not my favorite, I really like that. And then I think also we're really close to breaking 3 billion events per day. So we're gonna look at that this week. I think we may break it this week, which would be pretty nice. I mean, I think when I looked at it, actually, I was sending out an investor newsletter. The last 45 days, I think we've increased by around 22 million events per day on average.
It comes to the point where these numbers are so large that it's hard to, you know, process.
yeah, but overall, I mean, it's been very nice, and to just, I don't know, it's incredible to see that people just coming into the community. Hey, Emnor, thanks for being here. Uh, and then how's everyone liking the dashboard update? Did Is it good? Is there anything we need to change? Anything you don't understand? Do you have any questions about how the rewards work? I mean, feel free to ask any question. Obviously, we're still in a phase where things can change and we can iterate both on the tokenomics side and how the rewards work. Right now, we're just testing. So, any feedback, any questions? Let's see. Yeah, Matti. So, yeah, um, it's hard with the reference because it depends on, if you look at some networks, they only capture the data points from the plane every like 5 seconds, to save some cost. We're ingesting everything, so obviously we're gonna have higher numbers, but it equates to about 5 to 8 new antennas on average per day. That amount of data points. Let's see.
Real quick follow up.
Yeah.
Just also keep in mind some other networks also receive or aggregate other messages or receive other messages, not just positional messages. So those numbers are even hard to compare because we are currently only worried about positional messages. And in places like Europe, excuse me, where there's a lot of interrogation by ground stations, there's, I don't know, about 100% extra messages just from that stuff. And that's just squawks and everything, and them just getting basic information about the plane, not knowing where it is. So message to message is difficult to sometimes compare.
Yeah, but I have one cool stat, and that in about 4 months, we actually managed to grow to the same level of coverage as one of the leading flight tracking networks did in almost 4 years. So, the speed of growth on the coverage has been really, really good. Let's see, I'm gonna catch up on some of these questions. 1007 wants to see totals. Yes, we know that's very important for everyone to see the totals, especially since we're gonna retroactively reward. I promise you, we will come out with totals. It's just right now to query, it's very expensive and it's kind of hard. So now when we expand the team and expanding the business a little bit, we will add that. So I promise it will come and you will be able to see it.
Yeah, and I suspect, I'm guessing, Alex should be here to actually comment on it, but I'm guessing at some point we might even test distribution of old rewards or retroactive rewards to test that to make sure that functionality is working. Just a guess. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, right now we have a massive backlog of things we need to do on the tech side, and obviously I'm not technical, so I'm not really the right person to go too deeply on it. But I know we're working on a lot of things to kind of get ready and make it work. Lord Voldemort adding the message value to what do you mean, or Mike, do you understand?
Yeah,
the meaning.
A few people have asked to have the message charts put back in, like the ones we did before, and I think the logic is, and I totally get it, that you can use that to kind of see the health of your personal network, whether it's one antenna or multiple antennas over time, and see if you're getting a pretty consistent, or if like, oh my gosh, I dropped a whole bunch. Is it because, are my rewards changing on the chart because of my setup or because other people are coming into my area and affecting my rewards? So.
That actually makes total sense, and that shouldn't be very hard to have, be able to go between the two. And you can choose, do you want to see rewards or do you want to see data points? So we can definitely add that.
Antenna per reward in dashboard. There has been discussions.
Like the amount of rewards per antenna?
Yeah. Well, right now you can trick of games. I'm assuming that your reference is like right now you can see on the chart on the right rewards per antenna, but on the hexes you can't see the breakdown per antenna. I think not a lot, but some people have asked for that as well, and that is what I was saying. We have discussed the possibility of having that in the future.
Yeah, and I think also, I've seen, maybe I'm jumping here, but I've seen some questions too, like, how do you know how good you're doing? Or is it just many antennas? So it wouldn't be nice to have some type of feature that gives you a little more insight into, not each individual's contribution, but like just how are you comparing in a similar area to maybe the antennas in a similar area, in a way, so you can kind of know if you're performing well or not.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Jeff, I think, is following along the same suit of like, well, I can see the stats on the right. Can I get more breakdown on the actual hex mouse over? So I think that's the same thing. We have talked about how we're also possibly going to enhance that tooltip that pops up. For example, one thing that might be cool is to have some way, either directly on a tooltip or through a link or something, show you the breakdown of those stats. Since if you look at the white paper or the light paper, sorry, there's the base rewards, there's performance rewards, there's early participation rewards. What is the breakdown of that total number based on those things? Stuff like that we would definitely like to provide. The more information you guys have, the better, and probably the less questions that you'll ask or the less confusion you'll have. So we are definitely looking into ways to expand that. I think Alex wanted to get something out as quick as possible, and this is just first stage.
Yeah, exactly. But I think based on the announcement that we're expecting to come, hopefully next, latest the week after, we'll be able to speed up a little bit. Let's see. Scrolling down. I'm reading your question now, Big Mike. Just give me a second.
Well, read MNOR to yourself. Let me answer Big Mike real quick.
Perfect.
Big Mike, 100%. Yes. Already been discussed. And I think Robin was already alluding to that. It'd be nice to be able to see like people around you and what kind of coverage they're getting, to see if you're comparable or if you need to up your game, which may not always be easy. People like Grumpy with 400-foot towers. I mean, those aren't on every street corner, but for the rest of us, we can get a good idea.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I really appreciate the support, MNOR. Just DM me after if you want to chat.
Oh wait, I can't say the name. Lord. Yeah, that I agree. That's sorry. I just had to use it.
That's awesome.
That was the point. Yeah. So messages, we're tucking it away. Your voice has been heard.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it actually makes sense to have both to see. So we'll enable or have both views essentially.
Oh, good question. Get it?
Yeah. So it's actually an interesting question. So if you're a big airport, you have radar that goes about 30 minutes outside of the airport. That's the range. They rely on radar. Some airports have ADS-B stations set up as well. But overall, the entire aviation industry actually relies on these volunteer networks. So, for example, here as a good example at the Stockholm airport, because one of the director of the airport is on our advisory board. So we were in there and looking. So essentially, what they do now is they have one official screen with the radar, and then they have another screen with the flight radar. Because on the radar, it's just a bunch of blips on the screen, and they don't know what plane it is. If you don't have the flight radar or tracking screen, you have to call each plane to see who are you, where, what type of plane, where do you need to land, and all this stuff. What's your slot? They use these volunteer networks really, really heavily, but they sometimes have some of their own antennas. But most of the time, they just rely on the networks like this one, for example.
Do they ever, follow-up question from Matty? I'm just curious myself. Do they ever install their own ADSB setup to feed the same aggregator they're pulling data from? I would guess yes.
So most of the time they don't have their own. So like for example, Stockholm Airport, because Flight Radar is Swedish, so they're very connected with the airports. Flight Radar will go in and put antennas on the airport, and in exchange, the airport gets free licenses to use their premium model for all the employees at the airport. So it's actually Flight Radar's antennas on the airport, but the airport agrees to do it because then they get access to the platform. That's generally how networks try to work with airports to get the ground coverage. The updated wallets will be announced very, very soon, and some other stuff. 1007 to your question. Next week, probably. Yeah, Grumpy, sorry you missed. We had a bunch of cool announcements before you showed up, so I'm just kidding. Nothing major.
How is the back end holding up?
So far, good. We actually enabled another machine today to handle the ingestion. So far we haven't. Alec background is very heavily on the data side, so he's pretty good at it. So far we haven't had any issues. Let's see.
Grumpy's mentioning that he was early yesterday, late today. You missed Robin. You can watch it on the replay talking about why we missed yesterday. But what do you mean you lost a station? Did it blow away? Is it gone?
There's been 300 tornadoes in the U.S. this spring.
Well, if I have an ADSB antenna receiver and a Pi Lambda in my yard, I'll use it. Whoever contributed it, I will appreciate it.
Mike, do you want to answer? Big Mike, his name.
I mean, we can do some math later. We can start a math class. I can show you some stuff. Trust me, I've delved into this. No, I wouldn't worry about it. I think even though I've tried my hardest, well, not my hardest. If you see my setup in setup photos, you'll note, and I hate saying this on something that's going to be on YouTube, my entire setup is in my attic. It is on a extendable, I guess is the term, Christmas light pole that you use to hang lights on your gutters, with the top taken off. And it is mounted up there, and the antenna's at the top, and I'm using a microphone stage shelf kind of thing. It goes onto the stand to hold my hardware. No matter how I try, it always ends up that I'm like 2 or 3%. Oh, can you guys hear me? No? Is it just Megabus? All right, it's you, Megabus. So I'm always off by like 2%, Big Mike, so I would not worry about it. I can actually show you the math later. There's triangle calculators that you can use to figure out, based on the beam width degrees on your antenna, you can figure out how quickly it will impact the ground or not based on different angles. But 100%, if you're install is only off by a few degrees, let it be, unless you can fix it easily. 20% or 20 degrees, that would be an issue.
Well, I am really happy you answered that question, Mike.
Well,
I'm like,
I'll be honest, there from IoT days, there was big discussions. People go, "Oh no, you can't do a 12 dBi antenna because it's like a pencil beam that shoots the energy straight out, and you won't capture any of the houses that are near you because they're under it." And then when you actually do the math, you realize, like, I don't know, even like 8 to 10 dBi, it's like, I don't know, 500 feet, 1,000 feet before it hits the ground, which means you're still going to capture everybody that's past, I don't know, a quarter mile or however many kilometers that is. So it's not as bad as everybody thinks. Plus, the beam width is not like on off switch. You still get signals outside of that. And I'm waving my hands around to show you guys what a beam width is, but obviously you can't see it. It's like a cone that extends outward, like that goes around the dog's neck so that they can't bite themselves. That shoots out in all directions, 360 degrees.
interesting. There's definitely a science to it.
Yeah, but I think people overanalyze some of this stuff, especially things like that. Ask me on setup discussion if you have any questions about this kind of stuff later.
Yeah, I had to fight to convince my wife to let me have the antennas on the balcony because she said it looked terrible. So I'm just happy it's there.
Oh, I will say, since we don't have a whole bunch of questions lined up, real quick. So I was helping someone with a ticket the other day. Maybe this will help a lot of people, even that are listening on YouTube. So this person is trying to do the best they can for their setup. And unfortunately, that limits them to install their antenna on basically the front of, it looks almost like a townhome, but it's not above the roof line. It's not above the gutters. So the hope was, at least it's outside and it would do its best. And what the reality is it did do well for the direction that it was facing out into the open, into the world, across the street, everything else. But behind it, it had to go through 2 layers of exterior walls of the house, plus whatever interior stuff is in the way. And then it turns out, since it was mounted on a window frame, the glass is also killing the signal behind it. But you could see the sliver on the TAR 1090 coverage, the kind of the range coverage for your specific antenna. You can see a very thin sliver extend out. It's where the antenna was able to receive signals through the wooden part of the window frame and through the other side of the house. But it was basically blocked off in all other directions where the house exists. So it's always good to get placements like we talk about in the documentation for open line of sight. Don't think your antenna can go through multiple exterior walls of your house easily. Can't go through glass easily. Optimize, optimize, optimize.
Yeah. Yeah, Grumpy, we're trying to as soon as possible so right now I'm eating ramen noodles, Vienna sausage, white bread, pretty much it. This does anyone have a very hard time understanding the rewards formula in the light paper? Is it understandable or is it very confusing? Because we just kind of updated it, but we had a hard time figuring out how to put it simple terms.
Although I do have on my list a revision to it where I'm going to group the bonuses together and explain how those are unlocked based on participation. So at least grouping those together and instead of keeping them separate might be able to allow people to go, okay, well, I understand those rewards don't scale based on how many people, those do. But we've tried to figure out if we should make a table, more examples. You guys got to give us some input, how good or bad, or suggestions.
Yeah. And then we've gotten some questions too about the total supply amount, if that's too much. I mean, we're open for feedback because I mean, obviously, like the value itself doesn't change; it's just the amount of tokens. So it's really more of a preference, I think. So totally open for feedback from what you guys think. I mean, it's a fixed supply, so if it's 100 billion or 10 billion or 1 billion, the value will be the same, just as different tokens.
Oh, you just got cut off, as you said, as different
Yeah, just different amount of tokens, but the value of the tokens would not change, just the amount of tokens. The value per token obviously would change, but like when the reward, so to speak, value would not change.
Yeah, and the one thing that's helped obviously is having the dashboards out there, having statistics on what, the average rewards per antenna are, per account, giving all this information, it helps make better decisions as well. Cause it's kind of difficult when it's just, numbers out in the ether and you're trying to figure it out and you don't know how much data people are submitting or what kind of, saturation there is or isn't. So it really makes it difficult to conceptualize it until you have these numbers. And I think we do now, and we can make better decisions.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's really nice to we're getting a lot of great suggestions. So we're collecting all those, and but obviously these next few weeks or so will be just for testing things and figuring out what's good, what can be better. Did we do something completely wrong and we need to change? So right now it's everything you see now. I mean it's just the first phase, and we're gonna iterate and improve over time. Mike, do you want to take Michel Rack?
Sure. I was actually looking at Matisse' question. Useful to have an antenna on the red circle, or are there too many already? I can't click on the image, so I don't know. It ruined the video.
Oh, can I click on it? Yeah, I can click on it.
Yeah.
Oh, and now, Matisse, let's see. Go a little closer. Yeah, that's a good location. I mean, especially if you look kind of west. It's definitely not bad. I mean, obviously, you have the option. The best thing is to go in an area that's completely uncovered, or not maybe right next to another antenna if possible. So that location looks really nice that you posted in that image.
Okay. I guess it would have been kind of cool for me to click on because then everybody viewing the video on YouTube would understand, but whatever. So Mijo, you asked, on the pop-up when you're on the dashboard, is the total rewards based on the total of all your antennas? If you have more than one, yes. Short answer. And again, that's probably why people have asked, hey, could we have a breakdown per antenna, or can I click on an antenna and have specific stats just for that antenna? Totally understand. I think the majority of people still only have one setup. So I think it's less of a concern for them. But obviously I understand it as someone who has multiple setups, they might want this kind of stuff. And it makes perfect sense. Right now, yeah, it is the total. All the numbers are the totals. So your data submitted, your percentages, the rank, as has been said in Discord before, is basically your best antenna. So if you have two antennas and one is say rank 1, one's rank 3, your first place antenna, your top performing antenna, is the one that shows the number. So it'll be rank 1. We don't want to average it and say, hey, rank 2, but someone else is 2. So.
And to Big Mike, to your question, obviously it will be impossible to see any type of value until we actually launch a token and we know what the release price is and all that stuff. But what we're working on the back end is, right now with the tokenomics, and again, we're still working on them. This was just kind of the first iteration, is to try to eliminate massive outliers and create a model that's, if you're a good provider in an area that's also has other providers, it should still be worthwhile. So we're still trying to model and working on that. But yeah, it's impossible to say right now. And also, we would never be in a position to guarantee anything because like how the segment works. We're not a financial institution, so we can't. I mean, if we had a stable coin and it was a set amount, it would be easier to guarantee, but that wouldn't work. Trillion, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, man. Yeah, I agree with Grumpy there.
Megabazis. Anyway, question about the online map. You see a lot of hexes sprinkled across the US. Some of them seem to be red. Not broadcasting in the last 8 hours, I think. Does this mean there are truly a whole bunch of non-sending stations out there? So those red are taken hexes. That means there is an installation. There is an installation within those hex borders. Someone has claimed that hex. There's an antenna running there collecting data. Hopefully it has nothing to do with online or offline on the map.
Or it could be someone that has actually reserved that hex for 30 days and they have not yet set up their antenna.
True. Or you're going to do it. Or it could be somebody that has 6 hours remaining or 5 hours, 59 minutes left in their current first time setup reservation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They just got to it. They're doing it. No, you won't see green ones, Megabazis. I guess color is color. I don't know. Red means stop. Don't install there. Green means go. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, got you, Big Mike. Yes, I mean and again, we're still kind of, when the total supply is what it is right now, there will obviously be a certain amount of tokens. If we make it lower, it'll be less tokens, but the value will obviously stay the same overall. So it's really hard to say, but I mean, we've seen everything from if you're by yourself in an area with a really, really good setup, obviously you cover like 30, 40 hexes. If you have a poor setup or poor location in an area where there's other people, obviously it's not going to be so great. So it's really hard to say, to be honest. I really appreciate everyone offering here. I mean, it's really nice to see, because I know last time, Mike, you asked for help with some stuff. There's so many people volunteering. I mean, this community, like out of all the servers I'm in, maybe I'm biased, but this is like by far the best. Everyone is helpful. Everyone is awesome. People are just, I don't know. I love it. I love our community. It's so good.
Real quick, following up on that, just for reference, I asked at that one point, I was planning on leaving it, the request up for about 24 hours. So I capture people both in US and EU and other locations across different time zones. And I had like well over 30, and it's obviously a time sink to go through each and every one. So I got more than I expected, which was awesome, but I was also surprised on how much time it took. So if I just get a handful of you guys now, we're done. We're good. You can be part of the video anonymously. Nobody will know it's you, but you'll know it's you.
Exactly. Just go in 7 minutes. So if you have any last burning questions, please post them. Go in 7.
Yeah, for anybody watching on YouTube, if you can't see what Trillion Capital typed, he was asking about possibly merging accounts, because during old days he had it separated into multiple accounts. And the answer was open a ticket. So I just want to remind everybody, if you do have issues and you need our help, and obviously some things are more sensitive as far as data, feel free to open a ticket. You go into Discord, you scroll down to the bottom almost, and there's a tickets channel. You go in there, you click something like create ticket, and it'll ask you to fill it out. So we're here. We're always here.
So mega buses for reserving a hex. I mean, if you already have your hardware and you start start to register antenna, it will lock the hex for how many hours is it now, Mike? 3?
6 hours.
3 or 5 hours. 6 hours. So you have some time to install it. If you're in a completely open area and there's no one there, and the likelihood is very, very small of someone coming in, you could just wait and if you want to do that. But you also have the option of paying to reserve the hex for 30 days if you want to. I had a question the other day if you can extend. You can extend one more time, then you can't extend anymore. But you do that all in the process of registering an antenna. When you register the antenna, a window pops up and it gives you the option to reserve it for longer if you need. But that's only if you really need to do it. I hope that made sense, Megabuses. If not, please tell me I did a terrible job and I'll try again.
To throw in a related question that's been asked a few times recently, what happens if I need to move related to my hexes? So for anybody listening, basically when you decide you need to move, you can take your station to your new locations. You'll reset up by editing the antenna details, the new latitude and longitude. What will happen then is it will release your old hex so someone else can do an install, and it will claim your current hex if it is not already claimed. If that hex is already claimed and you move there, we apologize. Can't do anything about that.
Yeah. Sorry. Jeff, when looking at the map, there's no planes over Africa. Is this because there's no antennas or planes? But right now it's both. So there's 2 main flight corridors over Africa. One is kind of like the west coast, and one is more of the east coast. But we only have a live antenna right now in South Africa, and I know there's an antenna being set up in I believe is Kenya, but I think Grumpy knows. I can't remember if I said it wrong, but it's a difficult area to get, and one of the things that we want to do in the future, because in some areas of the world it may actually be very hard to afford the hardware. So we will implement a function in the future where you can have a fractionalized device ownership, essentially, where you can vet hosts and multiple people or one person can essentially buy a device and send it to the host, and they be a reward split. So maybe like 80% for the owner and 20% for the host or something like that. And we believe that type of model will allow more parts of the world to actually participate in the project, to spend money essentially to the same extent. So it's just very hard area to get. All the other networks are really struggling with that area as well. If you look at Flight Radar, Flight Aware, a lot of the data over Africa is actually satellite data that they buy to cover. Sweet Chucks, will you be needing coin list? We don't know yet. We don't know yet. It's right now we're in the process of talking to different launch pads, a few different exchanges that are pretty decent size. So we don't know yet. But I mean, CoinList is good, so maybe. If you have someone you know very well at CoinList, please let us know. So I have 1 more minute. If there's any other, I see some people typing. So satellite data. So when the planes transmit their signal, they get the GPS location from the satellite, and then they broadcast out the radio signal in all directions. So you can actually catch that radio signal, the ADSB signal, from a low orbit satellite, and that's the satellite data or space-based ADSB. or you capture the signal from a ground station, and then that's terrestrial ADS-B. So it's the same data, you just capture it either in space or on the ground. That's, you know, the difference with satellite data. If you want to buy satellite data, it's 10 to 20 times more expensive than buying data from a terrestrial network. Yeah, because it's very pricey because the satellites burn up because they're in low orbit, so they don't last very long. Also, satellites have if you have, for example, an airport, there's a lot of interference, and satellites actually cannot get very good coverage on the ground because it's so far away, but they're really good at getting the planes that are up in the air.
All right, you hit your time limit there, Robin.
Yeah, let's see if I gotta go, but let's see. Sponsors. Yeah, Jeff, we may look into something like that, subsidized devices first. But also, we want to be fair. If a person buys a device in one part of the world and then they don't have to. I mean, we'll see how we can do that in a way that doesn't hurt someone in the community while helping someone. But we'll try to find like a win-win deal. Yeah, I have to go. Really, really appreciate seeing everyone here again. I really, really thanks so much for being in the community, helping us grow, and stay tuned. Next couple of weeks will be some really cool announcements. So I can't wait to post them.
Yep.
Så, tack så mycket, megabusses. Nice, see some Swedes in here. I know Mr. Olofsson is Swedish too, I think. So awesome to see some Swedes.
All right.
Yeah. See you next stage, guys. Really appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.